Hello everyone, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be looking at how to determine the percentage of each app gen. We'll calculate the average rating and we'll explain our results and give recommendation based on the results.
So now we are in the Clean App Store module and we can see the function except we have carried out removing the duplicate, we've removed the non-English app and we've separated the free from non-free app. So the value or the table we'll be returning with this function is a table that contains free apps without duplicates and without non-English app, and another table also which is the non-free app table that doesn't have duplicates and doesn't have non-English app. So now let's go back to the original function that does executing that analyzes the whole table. So we're back to the execute app store F, meaning for free apps, while this NF is for non-free apps. So now let's go to the free apps own. So we saw the function execute DF and we saw that this clean app store did the cleaning, removing duplicate, non-English and separating. So this function contains two tables, the one for the free apps and the one for the non-free apps. So now we want to check the percentage gen and we want to do it for free apps. So that means that we'll be referencing the first table. That's why we said DF0. That is referencing the table for free apps. So now we need to go to the function that does the percentage gen. We want to check the percentage of gaming apps. What is the percentage in reference to the total number of apps on the table? So now let's go to the frequency use module. Now we are in the frequency use module, the function called frequency table. We can see we've passed in the table and we declared a dictionary table. And we all know how dictionary looks like. It contains the key and the value. So we now say for each row in the table, let's get the length of the table first, the total length of the table, we'll keep it here. Then we'll now say the name of the app, which I know, the prime gen row, that is the prime gen, that is the name of the gen. Now we have different gen. We have reference gen. Under reference gen, we have Bibles and Quran and so on. We have the gaming gen. That's where we have different games like Super Mario and so on. So we now say we pick the name gaming gen. So we get to the prime gen column, gaming gen. Then we say if that gaming gen is in table already, just like the previous one I explained, if it is already there, then what we should do, we should add 1 to table name. That is, look at this table. That is the dictionary. You know, once you put table name, it means gaming. You know, in dictionary, how you reference a dictionary, you look at it, games, and we get the total. That is what this table name plus equal 1 is doing is, it is getting the sum of the total number of apps under game prime gen, under the game gen. So it will say in the dictionary, game, the value should be by the side of game, which the key is called game key. The value that should be by the side should be the total number of the gaming apps. So that is what this one does. So what this place is doing is, it will say each time it iterates through the table and it locates a gaming app, it will increment it by 1. That's what it's doing. It will increment. So it gets the first gaming app, it is number 1. That is why we said else table name equal 1. So if there is no gaming app in the dictionary already, it will give the first one that is put in the dictionary as 1. So the value for the first game that is put into the table is 1. Then it will now come to the if statement and check, okay, now we already have a gaming app in the dictionary. So the next number now will not increment that 1. It will now become 2. That is what this line of code does. So it increments it and gets the total number of games. So in the dictionary, when we finish iterating through the table, we'll now get something like games. 2000. That is total number of games. Total number of games we have on the table. We have reference, total. We get its number there. That is what this part of the code does. Then we declared another dictionary here, table percentage. Now we want to perform the percentage. We want to get the percentage of, for example, gaming apps. We'll now say for key in table. Don't forget table. This is table here, is the dictionary. This is it. So we now say for key in table. Don't forget the key is, this is an example of a table. The key is games. So for key, that is for games in table, percentage will now be equal to, the float means we should declare the number as a decimal number so it will give room to perform the operation properly. So we'll now say table key. What is table key? That is table, you put games there. That is, you put the table key, games 2000. That's the total number. So it will say 2000 divided by total. What is total? See total here. Total is the length of the table. So let's say the length of the table after deleting duplicates, removing inclusion, we now had 6,000 rows. It will now say 2,000, which is for games, divided by 6,000. Once you divide and you get the value, you multiply it. The asterisk is multiplication, multiply by 100. This is how to calculate percentage. So we are in our percentage of game is that. So we now say, we now round up the answer to 2 decimal. That's what this round function does. It's a round up percentage to 2 decimal places. So we now say, we now put the table percentage key. Table percentage key. Don't forget this line of code here. We opened another dictionary here, calling it table percentage. So what we want to do, we want to put the percentage of each app gen into this dictionary. So for games, now we finish calculating for games. We now put table percentages key. What is the key? Game. That is the first one we calculated. We now say game should be equal to percentage. So the value that should be by the side of game in this dictionary should be game and the percentage. So when we calculated the percentage, let's assume we got 50%. So it will be game. In this dictionary now, we'll have game column 50. So that is 50%. So now, if we print out this table percentages key, this table percentages dictionary, the way it will come out is like this. It will now come out as game 56, books 34, finance 10, which is not a table format. Like, it's not what I want it to be. I want it to be in a vertical column where we have games, then we have the percentage, and so on and so forth. So I had to separate the key, which is the names, from the values and put them in separate list container. That is what this line of code did. Then I now put it in a data frame that is in table format. Say pd.dataframe, the keys. That's what it did. And we name that column gens. That's what this does. Then the second one, the values, we name the column as percentage. So we put it in a data frame. After putting them in a data frame table format, then we joined the table together. So that's what this concatenate function did. It joined this first table and this second table, df percentage and df percentage value, joined it together along the column axis, that's the axis 1. So when it joined it together, it comes out as a table format with the head of the table as gen, then you have the names, games, books, finance, and the other part of the other column as percentage, then we have 56, 34, 10 under it. That is what this function does. And this final function, which is sort data frame, it sorts the data frame, this df percentage gen, which is the table containing the gen and the percentage. It now sorts, this sort value function sorts it in descending order. That's why I said ascending false means sort it in descending order. And NA position last means if there's any empty cell, it should be put at the bottom. So we return the value.
Now, we want to calculate the average rating of each app gen.
The final module under the execute module, which is this, after doing the percentage
is average rating. So we go to the average rating module and see how it works. Okay, now we declare the dictionary table and another dictionary total. So we are looping through the data frame. Now the DF here is for the free apps. That was what is passed into this place. That's what we are using. So we have name, which is the prime gen column. We're looking for average rating of each gen. So we take, for example, the game gen. We want to see the average rating. So what we'll be dealing with now is the name, the prime gen name, and the total rating. So we have the name. So it's going to pick the name and check. So it's going to take rate total. That is the rating column. So when you see the name variable and the rate total, that is the rating column and the name column. So if name in table, don't forget, it will start with the else. If name is not in table, it will assign that game in the total dictionary. It will say game column 1. And it will say game for this one, table name, it will say game column, that rating for that game role that it just picked in this iteration. If gaming is already in the dictionary, that is where this if statement come into place. We now say if name, which is, like, for example, game in table, then that game in that table, you should put the rate count, the new table rate count, that is add this addition, add that second rating to the initial rating that was already in the dictionary. That is what this line of code says. So now we already have game in this dictionary called table and its rating count. That is the first one that entered. So let's say Super Mario game and its own rating, which is under the rating, is under the game gen. It will now say, we'll now scroll through, we'll see another game again, Mortal Kombat, which is still under game gen. It will now take the rating of Mortal Kombat, which is under rate gen, and add it to the rating that is already in the dictionary, which is still for games. So that's what this does. So it will total it. Why this total name? It will be getting the total of the game gen. So all the games under the game gen, it will get the total. So this table on gets the total rating, and this total dictionary gets the total number of app under rating gen. And it says, we create another dictionary here, and it says for key in table.keys. So we are picking the keys of the table dictionary and the total dictionary. So for key in the table dictionary, for key in the total dictionary, take note, they will be the same. If we're dealing with game, because we are iterating one by one, it will first deal with games, then deal with reference, and so on. So when it says for key in table and for key in total keys, it's going to pick, for example, game and find the average rate. So table key, it will take the, don't forget what is in table is the rate total. So it's going to take the rating total divided by the total number of apps under that rating gen. It will divide it. The answer will be put in this variable average rating. And then we round it up to 2 decimal place. So that's what that one does. Then the same thing we did, what we did in the percentage gen function. We separate the keys from the values so that we can put it in table form. The first column will be called gen. The second column will be called average rating. Then we sort the table in descending order from largest to smallest. That's why we have false. And in place means effect the change in the table. And we return the table. Now, we'll be running the code to see the results of the analysis on the data set.
So let's do a little bit of recap before we run the code to analyze the data and we see our result. So first and foremost, we imported pandas as PD. That is what puts our data in table format. Then we imported clean app store. What is clean app store? Is the function that clean the data sets by removing duplicates, removing non-English app,
and separating free from non-free. Then we imported frequency use table, that is the percentage frequency use module. That is the module that is responsible for finding the percentage of each app. Then we have the average rating module, responsible for finding the average rating of each journey. Then we brought in the data set, which is Apple Store.csv. We put it in table format. Then we dropped unnecessary columns. Then we started executing a function that we wrote this function, which is going to analyze the old data. And in that function is where we had the cleanup store module, the frequency use module, and the average rating module. So all this is what was performed on the data frame, which is this. So it cleaned it. It determines the frequency of each app, and it determined the average rating. And what we returned for this function execute is the result of the percentage of each gen and the average rating of each gen. That is what is returned in this function called execute, because we're going to use this function to plot our chart. So now let's run this function execute, the function execute, which is this. So we are calling it now execute, and the df that we're passing into it is this, the df. That is the df we are passing into it. That is the table with only the columns we need. So once we pass it into this function execute, it does the removing the duplicates, English, and separating free from non-free, and returning what it returns is the percentage gen and average list. So once you finish executing, the result is put into this df, and what is the result is what we returned here, which is the percentage gen and the average rating. They are all in this df. So now for us to print out each one, so if we want to print out the percentage gen table to see the percentage gen, the result of the analysis, then we have to reference it with 0. So that's why we said df0 is in position 0, while this one is in position 1. So that is for it. So let's run the code and see our result of the analysis. Now we can see the result of the analysis. We have the percentage gen table. We can see percentage, we can see gen. Then for the average rating table, we can see gen, and we can see the average rating. So from this table now, the percentage table, we can see games takes over 58%. Games is over 58%. You can do well to screenshot your results so that you can easily go through it. Then the next in line for the percentage gen is entertainment. What does this mean? It means we have more of games under our free apps. We have more of games, then followed by entertainment. Why the average rating means under the average rating, we can see the highest is navigation. What is navigation? An example of navigation is Google Map. So it means average rating means people giving their rating and saying, oh, we use this app. So rating shows the number of people using the app. So it means under the rating, we have navigation app, most used, then followed by reference app. Under reference app, when you go through your table, you see reference app is Bible, Quran, anything related to religion. Then we have social networking. That is the next one under it. So what this place is trying to tell us that they use navigation app more for Apple mobile store apps. That is what this result is telling us. Now let's go and plot it in a graph. So to plot our table, I created a different module for plotting. Now the reason why I can't put it in the same execute app store is because it opens a special page for plotting. So now we imported the execute app store module, which is the module that analyzed the whole data and brought out the result of percentage gen and average rating. Then matplotlib is the library responsible for plotting charts. Then we imported pandas. So now we called the function execute. Don't forget, this function execute is found in the execute app store F module, which we just finished analyzing. And the
what you are passing in as the variable is the original data. So when you pass in the original data as the variable, it analyzes it and presents the result of percentage gen and average rating. Now, to assess the percentage gen, we know we had to assess it by 0. Don't forget, table is the result of executing or analyzing the whole data. We put it in the table variable. So now to assess the percentage gen table, we have to say 0. So that is one that will assess the percentage gen table. So we said that table should be called percentage graph. Then we call the plot function to plot that percentage gen table. And we say the x-axis should be the gens and the y-axis should be the percentage. And the type of chart we are plotting is bar chart. And this plt.show means display the chart. That is what that function does. Why the second one is for the average rating. So let's see how the chart looks like. It will take a little time, but it's going to come out. So we're going to see how the bar chart looks like. So here we are. You can turn your screen to landscape. You can see the games. It's very long, 58 point something percent. Then followed by entertainment and so on and so forth. So we all saw that entertainment was 7 point something. You can see it on the bar chart. So this is your result. So what you can do, you can screenshot your result. You screenshot it and you can reference it later. So this is how to plot a chart in Python on your phone. And the same thing applies to the average rating. So let me remove the comment so that you can see how the average rating chart is. Don't forget, from the table, let me comment out the percentage own, because we are done with that already. So now let's see how the average rating own is. We can remember from the table, navigation was the highest. So the result we are going to have here, we should expect to see the bar of navigation to be the tallest. So you can see navigation is the first with the highest, over 80,000 rating, followed by reference. So this is how to plot bar charts. There are other ones too. You can plot pie chart and so on and so forth.
So we can see from the results that gaming apps are more in number for the free apps. Then we have the navigation apps as the one that are most used, because average rating shows the most used. So navigation apps are the most used. So let's see the results for the non-free apps. Now we'll be running the code for the non-free apps to see the result of the analysis for the non-free apps.
Now we are in the execute app store NF. This is the one that executes for the non-free apps. If you go through it, you will see it's exactly the same like the free app module. The only difference is here, line 19, DF1. So DF1 is assessing the data frame for the clean app store number 1 position, which is for the non-free app. So when you go back to the clean app store table, you will see that the first result is for the free app and the second table is for the non-free app. So that's why we assess it by 1. And also for the average rating, it was still that table DF1. So that is just the difference in this thing. Every other thing is the same from beginning to the end. Then to plot, I created a different module for plotting it. And the same thing, everything is the same there. So there's no much difference. It's just that when you plot it, you are going to see a different result. The bar charts will be different. So you can do well to test it.
After running the code, we can see that under the percentage gen table, the games have the highest percentage with over 51. That is 51.29. This means that gaming apps are more in number. Then when we look downwards, we see the average rating table. We can see that games are also the most used apps with over 6,000. So game are the most used and also the most popular under the non-free apps. From the chart, this chart, which is for percentage for the non-free app, we can see the gaming gen has the longest bar, while we can see for the shopping and catalog gens, that one are non-existent. For the average rating chart, it's still the gaming app that has the longest bar, while we have books, then sports as the least used apps for the non-free apps. In summary, in the percentage table, we saw that the gaming apps were more, meaning they are the most populated, taking over 51%. While in the average rating table, we can see gaming apps are also the most used under the non-free app table. Now, the recommendation that was gotten from the results of our analysis is thus: based on the free apps table and chart, we could see that the navigation app is the most used. If you check the average rating table, is at the top, the most used, but it's not the most popular, it's not the most populated according to the percentage table. So if priority should be given when developing new apps, then navigation related apps should be given more priority when developing new apps. Then when you go to the non-free apps, yes, gaming apps are the most populated and the most used. But when you go downwards, you will see that the next most used apps are business apps and the news apps. So the business apps and the news apps should be given more priority because they are the most used, but they are not the most populated. In our next video, we'll look at how to reduce a large data to a sample size, a very small size that will make running your code, testing your code, debugging your code very easy. And we'll also look at how to debug your code in case you encounter error when you run your code.